Of the Oakridge City Council. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thanks everybody for being here and coming out. We always appreciate your attendance at these meetings. I would remind you that during our public comments, the 3-minute limit that will be enforced because we have such a large group and we have a long list of people who want to talk. So try to get your thoughts together and be as concise as you can be, but please share everything that you need to share with us. I appreciate that. Jackie, can you call the roll? Mayor Holston. Here. Councilor Hadley.
Here.
Councilor Whitney. Here. Councilor Borcham.
Here.
Councilor Maxfield. Here. Councilor Kenyon. Here. Councilor Hollett. Here. Thank you, Jackie. And a special hello to Councilor Maxfield. It's nice to see your face again off the mountain. Thank you. Let's look at additions, corrections, and adjustments to the agenda. There will be a few things that are going to get moved around just so that we can keep things grouped together. I'm moving 10.3 and 10.5 up so that they're together. Also, the presentation by Michelle Meyer about the consensus happily got left over off of the agenda, so it will be added in. Don't be surprised. 9.5 is a discussion on the budget committee, as well as the audit committee. So, just so that you're aware of that. Any other adjustments or additions from the council? If not, we'll move into public comment. So I'm going to first call for public comment for people that had items on the agenda. We'll go through that. Chair Houston. Hi, Chair. You can stand, please.
Hi, I'm Cheryl Houston. I live on School Street, and I'm having issues with the minimum of 3 cats and waiting for the next child to be splatted. They race up 58, as you know, and they race down School Street. I've asked officers to come and patrol. I see them every now and again. They just never seem to be there during the hours that these young adults race up and down. My suggestion, of course, is going to be speed bumps like they have on Clark Street. I would like to see one down by the Baptist Church. I believe that's Fern. And I would like one right here because I've seen too many times kids racing across, the young ones on the little scooters. That had a heart attack the other day. The kid grabbed the other kid by the jacket, literally, and the skate went into the street, and the truck zoomed and ran it over. Okay, didn't stop, just kept going. So that's my issue. I really would like to see speed bumps. Thank you for your time.
Okay. And Chair, I also have you down for water bill increase. Do you want to speak to that now?
Actually,
Would you like to wait?
it's
up to you.
Okay. It's a
Would you
pressure
like-
thing too.
Okay.
On School Street, I don't know how many other people, but we had ours tested.
Mm-hmm.
It's way too much. It keeps blowing out our pipes, but I don't know.
The water, so the pressure is what you're talking about? Is that what you said?
The pressure is too much, and I think they need to work within their budget. We're not in Eugene, we're not in LA, we're not in.
I appreciate that. So we'll also be asking about comments when we get to that portion also, so that people can comment on what they've heard and that thing. Sherry Klosterman.
My name is Sherry Klosterman. I live at 4831 Port Hill Street, Oakridge, Oregon, 97463. I have a couple of comments actually, but I have another comment at the later part of the meeting. I also would like to speak about the water. It's interesting to me that people's ears go dumb. They don't want to hear, they don't want to communicate, they don't want to listen to the community's voice. We have in the past 25, 30 years rates going up and up and up and up, which nothing has ever been taken care of. It's just, let's just do it the easy way and raise the rates for 5 chemicals in our water, which has caused me a great deal of illness, I have to tell you. Mainly because of my situation personally, it has caused an illness which I would have never thought I had. But because of the water that I have to drink, and we've always been given the excuse, it's your pipes. If your pipes are dirty, you're going to get nasty water. We always get this from the city hall. I got it here just a month ago, and I said, you know what? Have you ever been to my house? I have brand new stuff everywhere, under, in, and out. I still have crappy water, and it's still making me sick. So now, I'd like to know if the communication is between this whole grouping here that are talking to resolve the problem instead of getting more money from the whole community to pay for what? We can't afford another rate hike. Okay? Y'all need to get together and talk about it, get to a point where you can all agree on something, and then resolve it. Don't keep coming back to us and saying, well, we're going to dip in your pocket one more time, because there's people in this town that can't afford to pay their bill now. Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry. Next is Trudy Hammond. Trudy?
Now, is this on the agenda or off the agenda?
You have it down here general.
Oh,
Do you want to do that? For both, you've written down general. So
Right.
This is items not on the agenda. If it's about the water and you want to wait to talk about the water when we get to that point on the agenda, you can do that.
okay,
It's up to you.
yeah, that's fine.
We'll do it either way.
So, Trudy Hammond, 47752 Berry Street, and what I wanted to maybe pass along as a possibility is something like this for informing the community. This is the school district paper, and I was looking at this and I thought, man, they've got this calendar here, they've got contact information here, everything in between could be all the kind of information from all the variety of committees, things like that. So I really thought that this was a real good idea, but I can't figure out who puts it together, and I think it's this little down here where it says I love you guys .com. So I was thinking that this would be something possibly as a solution for informing the public that comes out maybe once a month, and maybe if somebody could invest and research what the cost would be for something like this. And it's real strong, sturdy paper. I don't know why this got in there, it's just accident, but or becoming and then the other thing was I just wanted to give to Brian the comments that I mentioned from last week.
Okay.
I don't know if that was provided for you, but you have that here, and I don't have to recycle it. You can.
But thank you for your time. Thank you, Sherry, or Trudy. Audie?
Audie Spleet off at 47587 Teller Road. And I just recently here a while back got information for planning commission training. I've given each one of the counselors, and you, and Brian, and our secretary over here, a copy of that. I wanted to see if the city would be able to send us to that. We are now a member, as Rick has said, that he's joined up and we're a member of that now. I went ahead and paid for it on my own. I kept the receipt. So I'm going, and we talked it in our planning commission meeting, and we've got 4 of us that want to go.
So
And
that's
I've
on our
offered
agenda.
to take my vehicle.
Okay, so that is on our agenda for tonight.
Oh,
So
okay.
we'll be discussing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then a
water. I do not understand why we gotta spend millions on wells when we've got natural resources right here. If you're gonna treat the water, you can treat the river water too. Oakridge, years ago, used to get the water directly from Salmon Creek Falls, and it would pass Oakridge and another city somewhere, I forgot, I think it was in Central Oregon, could pass for contamination without a treatment plant. And the only time it got messed up was the flood of '57. The water turned brown. They dumped chlorine in it. They called it good. It was only for about 3 days. And there's, well, I guess that's it.
Thank you. So I have some other people that are listed here. Some of them have put down water bill increase. And I'm just gonna go through really quickly. If indeed that is what you wanna talk about and you wanna wait, just let me know that you wanna wait, so I don't pass you up. So I have, Brock,
Gaston.
Gaston. Did you wanna wait? to
I
talk
can wait
about
for
it? Okay. And Audie, you said you were gonna wait also. Dennis Patterson,
I'll go now.
you wanna go now? Okay, go ahead.
Dennis Patterson, 48471 West First Street. In the summer of 2015, there was a water shortage. The wells started pumping sand and/or air, and the city declared a drought and held a town hall meeting at the high school to decide what to do about this. I happened, by luck, to be sitting next to a former mayor, and when they started into their presentation saying that this was going to cost us millions of dollars, I said, wow, spread the load, 3,000 subscribers, that's going to be real money. He said, oh, that's okay, there'll be a citywide vote for everybody to decide, if they want to get behind this plan or not. That never happened. The presentation bundled the drilling of a well with a 1 million-gallon tank, which is unfortunate because the 1 million-gallon tank, it turned out when Councilor James Atha asked, is this going to improve my water taste at all? This was like months later after the thing happened. Yeah. The engineer said, no, it's not going to reach your third of the city. Oakridge's water system is divided into thirds. This mainly was for fire suppression at the Oakridge Industrial Park, which 1 million gallons of water to suppress fires in pavement, dirt, and Blackberry Randall seems a little bit expensive. Anyway, we can get to vote on that. I'm thinking that now's a good time for us to vote about whether we all want to pay for a new increase in our water rates, since it affects virtually everybody in this town. Water bills are renowned as the low-hanging fruit of city revenue. I resent the fact that the city can just jack up our water bills every time they need to balance the city budget. I think we need to vote on this as a city. Along with this, about the same time frame, it was discovered that legally you could raise our water bills every year based on an increase in the cost of living index in Portland. We are not Portland. Their cost of living's got to be vastly different from ours. And yet it's legal for us to do that. So I'd like to know, are we to be visited by the twin plagues of the rate increase you're discussing tonight and the Portland index increase? Thank you.
Trudy, you said everything you,
I'll wait.
you're gonna wait.
It's water.
Okay, water. And then Sherry, will you want to speak more on the water, please?
I will, but later.
Okay, that sounds good. And then Cher, she's also going to speak later. Okay, thank you, everybody. Let's move to mayor's comments, announcements, and proclamations. So, I just want to report on the mayor's invitational for emergency preparedness. Chief Martin and I attended this day-long event. It was put on by the mayor of the Division of Springfield. It was an opportunity to hear from agencies statewide about preparedness in the case of
for the Cascadia earthquake, which, well, when that happens, it'll be catastrophic. We all know that. And, you know, there is this feeling that, well, how do you prepare for a catastrophe? Well, that of that proportion, you have a choice to make. You can either prepare as much as you can, or you do nothing. And I think that we all feel like it's better to prepare for something rather than just absolutely do nothing and throw your hands up, because that preparedness then leads you to be prepared for the other types of disasters that may happen here, whether it's being cut off because of weather or earthquake or forest fire, or whether it's a natural or a disaster that happens within our community, like a train derailment. I just encourage you all to be prepared. So another important takeaway was the importance of neighborhoods in preparedness. Having neighborhood contacts will check on those at risk. I think we all saw how that important that was during the snow. Count the noses, relay the information about what our neighborhood needs to essential communication that all the city knows about. So I know that CA and Chief have been working on a preparedness plan. They're almost ready to present it to council, I also believe. And then now with the Public Safety Committee on board, my hope is that we'll use that opportunity to create a framework for neighborhood reporting, as well as the communication trees that we need to have. So we'll all be involved in that soon. Identifying what resources we lack will happen, and also identifying what resources we do have is important also as we go about the business of responding. What else? Oh, volunteer firefighters and city council. I and Councilor Hollett reached out to the Ethics Commission to make sure that we are on solid ground. As you may know, Councilor Hollett, thank you very much, is also a volunteer firefighter. And as such is eligible for stipend if she so chooses to sign up for a stipendship. I think I said that right? Okay. So, that you all know, the question that I asked of the Ethics Committee was, I have a counselor who is now a volunteer firefighter. My question is, if it is okay for her to receive payment from the city, which is a stipend. Could she refuse the stipend if she chose? To wrinkle it a bit, her spouse is a paid employee of the fire department, and as such, she cannot now vote on our city's budget anyway. Thank you, please call me if you have any questions. In summary, the answer was yes, a counselor may be a counselor and a volunteer firefighter. Yes, they may receive a stipend, and yes, she can refuse it or take it. Councilor Hollett has already determined her status on the budget because of her spouse being a paid firefighter, and she knows when and under what circumstances she must state a conflict of interest, and she understands that she must state that conflict at every instance, not just at the beginning of the meeting. The email answer I received to this is available if you would like to see it. It's at City Hall, or I'm happy to forward it to you if you reach out to me. And because it's about council, that pretty much matches.
Yeah, I also, we actually did this not talking.
I know.
So I also took it upon myself to reach out to the Ethics Commission. That is actually something that they advise us in our initial council training, that whenever you have a hint of a glimmer of something, reach out to them and get it in writing.
Okay.
So I have 5 copies right here, one for each of my counselors. I have one for the mayor, and I also have one for on the record, and they can also be obtained at City Hall. And it was pretty much in study. It was written to me from a different investigator at the Ethics Commission, so that's kind of nice. We have 2 different opinions that are almost identical. So, and if anyone ever has any questions, please feel free to ask.
Thank you. There is a library clothing swap. October 13th is a fundraiser. You will begin to see these flyers up shortly. I believe they're going to be going up tomorrow. It'll be at the Lion Mountain Bakery. There'll be live music, snacks, and desserts. The admission is $10. There's no clothing limit. It's men, women's, and children's clothing. All of your clothing, if you'd like to donate, should be dropped off at the library by October 10th. So watch for those things popping up. Councilors, Monday, October 7th at the WAC, 7 o'clock p.m. is the work session with the planning committee and the council for the TSP.
You repeat the date, please?
Monday, October 7th at 7 o'clock p.m. And that is the work session.
It'll be here?
No, that'll be the WAC.
What? This is the web.
It is what?
In the gym.
In the gym. Well, my head is in the gym already.
So it'll be in the WAC gym at 7 p.m. and it'll be a joint planning commission and council work
Yes.
session.
Yep. Okay. Lastly, in response to a call that I got from TAC this week, together a small task force to review our winter measures for the warming center and other options that we either have as a community or as a city to assist those during this upcoming season to either stay warm or dry. There's always that big tug between what we can do legally and financially as a city and what we know morally we should be doing as a community to provide basic shelter for people in need. And I know that as a community, we're going to continue to do what we can and we'll look for ways to help. So there'll be more to follow on this. I just wanted to let you know that that was going to be happening. Hold on, got some changes here. Okay. Council comments or any announcements from council? Yes.
I had a question. On the wood reading program that we have, I saw a post on Facebook that there's applications available at City Hall.
Those are for, those applications are now available and those are for exemptions.
Exemptions to what?
Exemptions for burning. So you may burn because it is your sole source of heat during times when it's red advisory days. But you need to have an exemption. So you just come pick those up. We do that every year. That exemption list is also used for, don't you use that for the community firewood program too?
Yes.
So we're able to offer people who burn solely as the only sole source of heat. That helps us then say, okay, you get reduced fees for the wood.
Is there any kind of description about what that program, how that program works on our website? I couldn't find it.
I don't know if it's on the website, Dawn. I think that's a good question. We should probably see about putting that on there in conjunction with the community firewood program. The community firewood program isn't technically run by the city. It's just called the community firewood program, so it's a little confusing, but it definitely is something that we could point them to in the right direction. Thank you for that suggestion. Thank you.
So what's that form online? Because I know it was last year, so I'm wondering if it's again.
I don't know, actually. Do you know, Rick? Is it online?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Any others? Okay. Let's go to the consent agenda. Can I have a motion to pass the consent agenda?
I move we approve the consent agenda.
One second. All those in favor? Say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Say no. No opposed, that passes. Thank you. Business from the city council. We have three presentations tonight. So, we're gonna get started on those. I think our first presentation is from Raj Rain. Yes. Very much. So, welcome, thank you for being here, and the floor is yours.
Great. Should I stand over there? Is that a good spot?
That's a great spot.
Hello, everybody. My name is Raj Bobley, and I work with an organization called Oregon Rain, and we are a nonprofit that is working across the state to support the creation of strong cultures of entrepreneurship. And what we mean by that is helping rural Oregon towns figure out what they can do to help new businesses launch, and then once they've launched, grow and succeed. We are a nonprofit that works on an invitation-only basis, and what we mean by that is that the cities have to invite us in order for us to begin to participate. So, the city of Oakridge, about a year ago, invited us in to begin working formally, but the relationship between Oregon Rain and Oakridge is about 2.5 years old at this point, and many people in this room have participated in the creation of that partnership. But where we're at right now is reaching the end of our first memorandum of understanding with the city. So I want to take this chance to update you on what we've been up to, the results that we've seen so far, and then also set the tone. So the overall goal is for the city council to feel confident in the city continuing our next memorandum of understanding. So that needs to be signed shortly. So that's my goal, is just to share an update with what we've been up to. And to do that, I want to talk a little bit about myself. But really, to illustrate that fact, I've asked 3 folks who are all involved locally to help share that story as well. So with that said, I guess I'll just poll the room real quick in the city council. Do you folks know about Oregon Rain already? making progress. What we do, it's kind of nebulous in concept, but in reality, it's very simple. We do three things, and we try to do them the best that we can. We provide one-on-one mentoring to businesses. This is free to the businesses, and basically, a lot of people have interesting ideas that they want to turn into businesses, but the process of actually going from the garage or from the kitchen or from an idea into a fully functioning, registered business can be daunting. So we're there to help them at every step along the way, both for new businesses and for existing ones. So in addition to the free one-on-one consulting, we also offer programs which take a couple forms. Sometimes we bring speakers from outside the city. Sometimes we run workshops where we're hashing an idea like what the heck is a profit and loss statement. And then sometimes it takes the form of just casual social networking events, because one thing we know about business is that community matters, and the networking aspect of a business area is really central to the businesses within it doing well. So where we're at now, I did share on Monday, I apologize for that being a little late than standard for council meetings, an update. I don't know if you already, it looks like you do have those. Thanks for, we've got the colored versions. But this is a summary, yeah, I'm happy to share the ones that we have. Maybe make it stay on the front row. But the events that we run to date, which is 13 of them, so we're averaging roughly 2 a month, and the number of entrepreneurs served and what we're doing with them. So we have about 15 entrepreneurs that we've served through this work, and just so you know, that actually tracks above the national average for a city of Oakridge's size. So there is a strong culture here, which is the exciting news, and the more promising news is that there's a lot of work to be done ahead of us. So what we're trying to do is partner with existing organizations here, like the Chamber, like the school, like UBRA and others, to figure out what we can all do collectively to bring that work together. And that takes the form of 2 projects that we're focused on now. One is working with the high school to offer for the first time a class on entrepreneurship. So bringing the idea that you can start a business into the high school. And that's going off well. We're in the second week right now of classes, and it's been a real pleasure to work with the school. And in addition, we've been working on an idea that kind of came out of ODAC, and then is being taken forward by a combination of the city, the chamber, and a few other organizations to create a co-working space where people who want to start a business but don't want to do it out of their homes alone have the chance to come together and network and figure out how do we hash out this idea of starting a business. Those are 2 other projects, and I think we have a little bit of time for question and answer to the end, so if we do have that, we'd be happy to answer any more questions. But right now, what I wanted to do is, in voices of people in the community, have people speak. So maybe we'll go Jules first, and then Jana after, and Rita third, to just briefly share about the impact of working with our organization so far. So with that, Jules Ariosta.
Rain has helped me so much. I definitely wanted to start a business and was so scared. And after the first meeting, I was like, man, maybe I could do this. And so I wrote this down. I don't want to ramble, but I believe Rain is a true asset to Oakridge. In all the meetings I've attended, I've gained so much priceless knowledge and have made so many connections within the town that I didn't have before. And the RAIN meetings to me bring people together that want a better Oakridge and enrich our community. And I can truly say that they have helped me take the plunge to become an entrepreneur and believe in myself and see this town succeed.
Jules, can you tell us what your position is?
Well, I started Jules Joint, and so we cooked food at the distillery this summer, and it went successful. So my business is going to succeed, and we're going to open up at the bakery at night, starting October.
Yeah.
Very exciting. Yeah, exciting to see. Yeah, we'll be. Yep, I do. Yeah. And we'll be continuing the tie through the winter because we need something spicy and stuff. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Janet, if you would.
I'm Janet Hanson. I'm the executive director of the Chamber of Commerce. Thank you for having me. I have been able, or had the opportunity to address you
privileged to be here to talk about Raj and the work that he's done in our community, and particularly in our school district. I think we first met at the interview. I was privileged in helping to be asked to be on the interview committee, and we have a great deal of candidates. And Raj is a positive attitude. He was immediately contagious and infectious, and I thought, wow, this is a great guy to have around our community and with our kids. So the things that have developed over the last year, and so much just this summer that's developed, is that as we've opened our business CTE program, in that program we have 3 courses that we're offering this year. Business Office Microsoft program class and an entrepreneurship class. And Raj has stepped in and he heard about that and he said, hey, we have curriculum. He's been in, he has coordinated with our business teacher and he's even coming in and doing some of their classes and just really supporting that new program that is going to prepare not only this year but in years to come students that know business, can open their own businesses, can work in the businesses that we have in our community and beyond. So we're very appreciative of that, Raj. It's a high quality, great program. Our wood shop, our construction CTE program, is also reaching out and developing partnerships with agencies like St. Vinny's. They have some woodworking things that they would like to have done. And so we're in the beginning stages of that. And Ray and Raj, they're helping us with those partnerships and relationships as well. We're also developing a youth transition program, which is for our students at the high school level that are transitioning from school to work. And you don't know this yet, but our new YTP coordinator is going to be contacting you. He's already talked with Raj and met with Raj through some meetings that we had in Salem. And he's been, after his conversations with Raj, developing business plans for these projects that he wants to do with our kids that are business projects. And so he's very excited and working in concert with Raj. We're very appreciative. I very much support the work that's done. I highly recommend that we continue to work with you.
So thank you, folks. I think we're going to turn to questions and answers in a second if we have the time. But I guess I just want to leave you with one last thought, which is why? Why does this work matter? And that is because I think, as we all probably share, an important part of any community to be strong is the creation of jobs. And it is demonstrated that new businesses create over 95% of net new jobs in the country. So if we want to talk about the jobs coming into this community, then we need to think about new businesses, and we'd like to play a role in helping Oakridge form the type of culture that creates new businesses. So with that, I'll say thanks, and yeah, I think if there's time for questions, I'd love to try my best.
Time for that, sure. If we have any questions from the audience, please.
I would love to ask what I don't want back there, which is there's nothing here for the children other than alcohol, pregnancy, methamphetamines. This man right here has been desperately trying to get a kids program going. You know these people that want to create businesses. There's a big business. Oh, I'm sorry, the kids are poor. I guess there's no business there, so.
No. Well, there's a lot of opportunity, and I'm not sure if there was a specific question. Yeah, great. And I'll give you this, and actually it's print passes around. These are a little explanation of our work, and also contact information so we can get in touch.
Great.
But yeah.
I'd really like to see something for the kids here, because I know what's happening to business.
Yeah.
Sharon,
Yeah.
did you have a question?
Actually, yes. I'd like to know, this kind of stems from the superintendent that was just speaking from the school. Back in the day, and it hasn't been that far along in the day, we used to have shop at the high school. We used to have home economics. We used to have the classics. Now, why can't the school come back up with those programs instead of hiring you?
Well, I think that's what they were
For the
actually
same
saying, Sharon.
thing.
I think that's what Rita was saying, is our shop is up and running, and they are learning how to be entrepreneurs themselves by reaching out to, like, for example, St. Vinny's, because they have wood. No, St. Vinny's has an opportunity for the shop to create products that then they will then sell. And so they're combining that with a lot of their other CTE programs so that the students can learn how to do that.
rude, but I asked
Sherry,
him.
just a moment, please. Councilor Holland?
Excuse me?
Councilor Holland, go ahead.
I actually wanted to answer to Sherry too. I took my Cub Scout group recently, about 4 or 5 months ago, to the high school wood shop, and I toured it, and it is fantastic. The shopkeeper, the teacher there is incredible. His knowledge, the projects the kids are doing in there. They built, gosh, Trish would know how many wood sheds, all the wood shed projects that was spearheaded by Trish and the high schoolers. They have this awesome laser burning machine that does, I don't know how much it is. They have fantastic equipment and a fantastic program. I know it didn't quit for a while, but it is back and running very well.
Thank you, Councilwoman. The thing that I also want to say is that you can get with some of these businesses, such as the mechanics in town. You can get with training of individuals at pumping gas. Why does it do this mechanically? Okay, give them the training that way through the businesses in the town versus taking another class someplace else in order to get that training. Because, and then I agree with Mr. Staley, I think we need to have some form of youth, what's the word I'm looking for? No. Yes. Enrichment, but a place for all the youth that they can go and they can actually learn something, whether it's towards their own talents or their own skills, or they're looking up towards someone saying, I want to be like you in this way.
Thank you,
Okay?
Sherry.
Then,
Tricia, go ahead.
How many hours last year did you contribute to Oakridge specifically?
Yeah, so we are on contract to work with Oakridge 1 day per week.
Okay,
So that works out to 8 hours a week.
and that's the same for this one.
That's the existing contract as well, yeah.
Okay, and then another quick question, sorry.
No, go ahead.
What fund would this come out of, the general fund? Or do we already have it budgeted?
I believe we already have it budgeted, but I don't believe we're asking for approval on this right now.
Oh,
I thought we were.
yeah, I think we're asking for another.
No, I'll bring it in though, you want to sort of.
Gotcha, oh, okay, I apologize.
I'll just do that. Yeah,
Jumping
should
the
have
gun.
clarified.
Thank you for these.
Yeah.
But those are good questions. Yes, Councilor?
I would like to ask, one time we had a person by the name of Jennifer Hood, she got a grant to do the same thing you're doing, we paid for it.
Okay.
And it wasn't very successful in our community.
When was
So I'd
that?
like to, yeah.
Yeah, when was that? Because I'm not familiar with that name.
No, you weren't here
You
about
weren't
10
here. Well, I
years,
know,
about
so-
2010.
Oh, 908, okay, thank you.
Because we got a grant to do this, we paid her for the exact same thing.
Yeah.
And we didn't get anything out of it.
Sure, I guess I can't speak to her because I don't know what she did or.
But it cost the city, you know, that was a grant for the city for her to get $32,000. I believe Jerry Shorty should remember it too.
Okay.
And it was something that was not successful.
So
Sure.
Raj, can
I'm
you
not
speak to
saying
that?
this
Yeah.
is not being successful.
Sure, yeah, I mean, I appreciate that there probably have been past activities that have been attempted in the town. And I can say that what we feel is differentiates our model versus others is that we recognize that we do not belong to this community. So we are not outsiders with some sort of bullet solution, but rather what we can do and what all of our programming is around is catalyzing what already exists. So by tying into existing organizations that have strong local holding and empowering their leaders, we feel like we can create a longer impact than if we're trying to bring some sort of outside.
Well, I'm a
change.
business owner for 20 years here, and I do auto repair, classic cars.
Congratulations.
You know how many years I've never got anybody from the school, if this is the first time this year, somebody asked me, and I begged kids to come and learn what I know.
Well, great. I think there's opportunities to get involved, and I'd love to talk to you long after.
Well, I own about time.
Okay, great. I'd love to come by and chat. And I'll say the one thing about this work is that it is not short-term in nature. This isn't something where the needle moves after 6 months or a year. This is long-term cultural change. So I thank the city for taking that long-term view of this and recognizing that this kind of change is not just on one organization to do. It has to be a collective effort to make it happen. Yeah, a business community, a culture. Yeah.
Yeah, I just want to talk really quickly about a testament of Rain's work too. You know, we have a young entrepreneur that's right here in the spotlight, and I believe Ayla's only 15 years old, and she was able to start her company, and so
in the city assigned to that to be the person that's following through with our part of the agreement on the MOU?
Soon someone would be assigned to that. Yeah.
Do we know who? Do we
We
have?
haven't, we haven't yet, but there has been an open communication line and a good one back and forth about all of it, so, that's not, worried about it, but when we get to the point where this is presented to us for looking at, I would hope that we would know what the structure is for reporting. Brian, I'm assuming you will know at that time whether it's Brian who reports back, to us and to Raj. I know they meet regularly, I've met regularly with them.
So then I guess the question would be for you.
Yeah.
Who's been the contact you work with at the city for
Yeah,
the project?
sure. Well, largely Mayor Holston, and also Rick Silsa. And since the city administrators come in, we've had 2 meetings so far. And I will say that it has felt, at least from our perspective, like the partnership has been very strong. And yeah, in terms of these types of reporting, it has been a collaborative effort. We have to report a lot to our funders, which are also the county and a lot of foundations. And so I guess just for what it's worth, it has felt from our side that this partnership, in terms of these types, both sets of obligations, has felt very balanced. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Raj.
Yeah, thank you.
Appreciate it.
And for everybody else in the room, I do have business cards, and if anybody wants to start a business, I'd love to get together and talk, so thanks.
And thank you for those that came to support Raj and to share their stories. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, council, let's move on. We have another presentation. Michelle Meyer.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, so my name is Dr. Michelle Marr. I'm a partnership specialist with the Census Bureau. And I'd like to thank your city manager for meeting with me and really making this meeting possible. I want to check in first and just find out how much time I have.
How much time do you have?
Yeah.
You have 10 minutes.
I have 10 minutes. Okay. Well, first I want to address just address everyone while handing out these just packets for your city council if you pass them out. Most of these follow the PowerPoint. What I want to remind everyone is that many federal and state, county, and city budgets are ultimately based on the census decennial population count, the count that's happening every 10 years. Not the old form. Remember that old form, the American Community Survey? That's now called the American Community Survey, and it's on a rolling basis. And that is not the population count that I'm talking about. So there are transportation. Everybody uses the roads, right? Transportation is based on census numbers. Lots of educational funding is based on the census. Medicaid, SNAP benefits, right, HUD housing, and a lot of money that goes to support local city, county government, state government, and most of those, human service programs. So my concern in addressing you all is that Lane County has about a 20% non-response rate, and that non-response rate then translates to not getting the adequate funding that you actually deserve. So I used to work in Oakridge about 20 years ago over at the middle school. So I feel like I've been looking around thinking, that's about 15 years ago, so, looking around. But, so I just want to say thank you for welcoming me, and I will talk really fast, and I will leave my card. If you have any questions, I'm your contact. As the address canvassers come through and double check addresses, which is happening now, and every 35th household actually has someone knock on the door and just double check that the resident is the number of families in the home that we think is there. Okay, that's the only kind of questioning that is actually asking now. So I want to alert you to that, because otherwise, they're just driving around double checking the maps and the addresses to make sure that they have it correct, because the city will get dinged if we miss addresses. And if there's new construction and we don't know about it, okay? So just as that alert for everyone. so I'm just gonna go on the, this basic, census presentation and ask you if you have any questions, okay? But I just wanted you to know why I felt that it's really important to, address you in person, address the council in person. So thanks again for being invited. All right. Hard to count population. Huh? Do you have the PowerPoint? Yeah, okay, here we go. So, thank you.
Just let me know when you're ready to.
So the decennial census, our goal is simply to count everyone once and only once and in the right place. And the census decided, I don't know who decided this, I want the census to be taken seriously, but the day we want everybody's census in by is April 1st. Okay? So we're trying to get a little publicity campaign going. I don't know why they didn't just choose April 2nd, but there you have that, okay? Next slide. And I'm not going to read this to you, but I'm happy to email this PowerPoint to anyone. So the census is constitutionally required. If anyone is here that's like from another nation, most censuses are actually required by law and they're also constitutional. But in other countries, people are prosecuted for not filling it out. That is not true in the United States. No one has ever been prosecuted, ever, for not filling it out. There's kind of like a respect to that. But it is constitutionally required, and the Census Bureau is required to get all of the data together and on the president's desk by 12 o'clock in the morning on January 1st, 2020. Okay, so that's the book. Next slide. Wait a minute. Yeah.
January 2020, April 1st.
April 1st.
Sorry.
December 20, now you.
Yes, I meant December 31st at exactly midnight.
Oh.
Right, 2020, which is December 21.
Thank you.
All right, so the census, we will be stuck with those numbers. Whatever numbers we get, we will be stuck with them for the next 10 years. The census is how the number of seats in the House of Representatives are apportioned. And because, as you all know, Oregon's been taking on a lot of people. So we stand to potentially 1 or 2 seats might go our direction if we have a thorough count. There's some estimates suggesting that. I can't suggest a thing. I can just say, some people have talked about that. In 2018, $675 million was allocated based on the decennial census population count, and that goes to budgets like transportation, housing, education, healthcare, for example, Medicaid, and a lot of other vital services. So I'm just trying to lay out the importance here. Thank you for the next slide. Oregon, specifically in 2006, received about $13.5 billion. And this page is in your handouts. It's the second page in your handouts. And this also is a list of, there's thousands of budgets that are based on the census. But this is, city councilors are often in the position of defending or describing the census. And so these pages are your cheat sheets. I am happy to, hand them out to other people that are interested. But, just give you some cheat sheets to help you out. Next slide, please. Okay, so we have a challenge to getting an accurate census because we have, at least in Oregon, around a 23% non-response rate in general. So, and some people, it's very logical why they don't fill out the census. They're highly mobile. They move a lot. They live in complex living arrangements. They don't know about the census. They're homeless, right? Exactly. Actually, we're finding that students just west of the University of Oregon, the non-response rate is 37.5%. So what's happening is that those students were 9 years old last time the census came through. They don't know about it. That's really vital here. They don't know what the census is and why to fill it out. This new generation doesn't check their mix now. So the census is like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? We're actually really concerned about young people, about students, because we're realizing that there's that gap. And the census actually made a census statistics in schools program in hopes that schools would adopt it. It's K-12, it's every subject area, and the goal is just to inform students of
why the census is important. And, you know, it has a bunch of, you know, ready-made exercise and activities that are supported by the Common Core curriculum. Okay, next slide. Oh, and I missed a really vital issue here. Another reason people don't fill out the census is that they distrust the government. And often their distrust of the government is for historical reasons. We can look at history and understand that there was accurate historical reasons in the past that concern people, right? The Census Bureau is concerned about that being generalized to the census. And so the next slide, and I'm not ready to go to it, I want to explain to you about confidentiality, because that often quells some of that distrust. Okay, and you know, in 1950, because of public distrust, the census became underneath the codes of Title 13 and 26. And so I'm going to talk about it in a second, but I wanted to make sure that I addressed it because it was on the end of that slide. So I'm going to ask Oakridge, I'm going to ask all of you to sign on as kind of a partner. It's not a formal, it's not contract, it's not formal. It's only formal like this. You know, I don't know if that's formal. You know, I mean, it came a long way, so I guess I hope it's formal. But you know, I'm gonna ask you to help publicize the census to your populace, because that's my job, is to ask you that. And I'm gonna ask you to look at these particular populations where you live. It turns out that children under 5 are often just absent from the census. So a family will fill it out, but they will not put children that are not school age, even though they were, you know, each census is worth about $2,500 in all the funding that comes through or into Oregon, right? But for some reason, we don't understand why they're not on that census. So even when everybody else in the family is, right? So we want to make sure that people recognize that that's for all people in the home, not school age and above. I already talked to you about young adults and students. Non-English speakers and foreign-born, the census that they often receive is in English. We do have census forms in 16 languages. So we're able to get them. If we know, we can get them the form in the probably, often, not always, the language that they speak. But getting that to them is a challenge. And often people who are foreign-born don't understand the United States Census. They think they don't belong on it because they're not a citizen, or because they may be on a Visa card, or you know, or maybe they're a citizen now but weren't. So there's that historical, you know, mishap. People who are homeless, transient, or migrant workers, those are all really difficult for the census to actually get them a form, because we send forms to known addresses, right? We do have a homeless count. I want to talk to a representative from Oakridge about your one-day homeless count. And I'm working with the Lane County Board on Poverty and Homeless that's responsible for that one-night homeless count. That helps funding that comes to the county for people who are homeless, because they will help the census go to places where homeless people are known to be so that we can count them in person. And we need your help to do it. Okay, people with disabilities. If their disability is severe enough but not able to complete a census. Veterans and other sometimes don't trust the government in that category. Renters are part of highly mobile, and also this time we're going to try and put the census online, and that's why low internet access is going to be a barrier. We are going to send a form to each and every home. It will be hand delivered to people who have a P.O. box, and that you'll have a number that's associated with your address. You go online to the link. It's an easy link. Put in your number, fill out the census. Same 9 questions that have been there since 1960. Okay, it's the same 9 questions. There has, and there's really that privacy. If you'll just go to the next slide, because that should be my privacy. Okay, so the census just talks about it being private and confidential, and my goal is to prove it to you. That's the next. I want to say ditto. I'm holding myself back. That's the next form in the packet for those for the council members I handed out. So as workers, we're prohibited by law from releasing any of that personal information. The census itself will release it in 72 years for ancestry reasons, right? You all know about ancestry.com. You can look at census records, and these are only for the 9 questions. But first of all, I want to let you know that a penalty if I disclose any personal information. The good news is I don't see it. Just so you know. I don't want the penalty is 5 years and up to $250,000 for each data bit. Pretty severe. This is not permissible in court because it's illegally obtained, right? It's not legal to disclose it. And also, I want to give an example of what Title 1326 do. In 2012, Homeland Security said, "Hey, Census Bureau, under the Patriot Act, we want you to give us this personal information for these people." And the Census Bureau said, "Well, we can't do that. We're covered under Title 13 and 26. The Census Bureau is taken to court, to the Supreme Court, through Homeland Security, and the Supreme Court determined that, and you can Google this, by the way, it's Googleable, that the Patriot Act was not as strong as Title 13 and 26. So the census is doing its best to protect your data and your private information, at least for 72 years, for those 9 questions, because we believe in it, and we have since 1950, and I wouldn't actually stand here if this wasn't true. If I didn't believe this wasn't true. So I want you to know that. All right, next slide, because I'm probably really close. Okay, this is the form that's in the packet, by the way. And if anybody wants a copy, I'll give you my email address, email me, and I'll send you this. Okay? Next slide, please. Thanks. Okay, so what are the 9 questions? By the way, this slide. Just saying. Did you see that? That is good. Okay. We asked name, age, gender, sex, date of birth, race, ethnicity, Hispanic origin, phone number, relationship of each person at that address, and the citizenship question has now been XR. It hasn't been on the census since 1950. I made this when it was in the Supreme Court, right? So the citizenship question is not on it. The census tells me that we only ask your name, your date of birth, and your phone number for instances like this. Let's say your child's in college, and you're like, "Hey, but this is their permanent residence," so you put them on the census. But that, where they're living, they fill out the census. Okay, now rightfully, they should be filling it out at the school. They're there, they use those resources most of the year, and they're actually there for April 1st. Okay? So the census gets that, and we'll call the phone number and say, "Hey, Sam, we have 2 forms here, and we want to know which one's true. Because it has this name and birth date. Is this the same person?" Why, yes, it is. So we don't want to duplicate people. And so by asking name and birthday, we're pretty sure that we can not duplicate people, right? And then, we want to make sure to do that fairly. So that's the reason. Next slide, please. Okay. I've already described why we asked. So this is the quick conclusion of my very fast PowerPoint presentation. But I do have a few more points for you. I know do you say I was fast? I'm sorry. Okay, so right now we're in what's called address canvassing. And what that means is that we have census workers going to each address and double checking that we have our records right. Because if we don't, and that causes problems at the city level, and actually it causes a really severe problem in Florence. We hired some non-local people in Florence because we didn't have enough people that applied in Florence. We want to hire people where they're going to be address canvassing because they know the road. Well, this employee drove past a dune. There was a little tiny road, and they didn't see any housing in it. They didn't know it was the beginning of a new development, and they drove right by. It wasn't on our records, and Florence had to petition because it was a big enough new development that it was pretty important to, especially for the next 10 years, because it was possibly a few years old already. Florence was already, right, giving out services in some way to that person, at least in terms of the roads, right? And we missed it, and they had to petition. And it is a complicated process, and it's a little bit expensive.
health care and other benefits. It is, they're part-time and full-time. You get to choose your hours during daylight. You need to have a car, you need to be a citizen, you need to be over 18.
So have you already started your address verification here in Oakridge?
We have already started, but I don't know if that's in Oakridge. I know that we have started north and south. It all depends on, I'm sorry, what?
Yes.
No, it all depends on how the actual local census office, and right now, Salem has been carrying the state. The Eugene Springfield office, which will be responsible for this area, has just opened, so it's actually not functioning yet.
Oh, okay.
What happens is the census office, in other words Salem, receives all of these maps and the order of those maps. And so they just follow what those maps are, and they hire 1,000 people at a time, and then train them in locale. So I'm also going to ask you, hey, if you have a room that has a lot of plugs, because we train people on handheld devices, and it can have 25 people in it, we ask for donated, 2 or 3 days of donated space so we can train people, out and about, that are away from the census office. And that's one thing that would, of course, the census office should be free,
So what I understand you're asking from council, first of all, is for us to give our support of this, obviously, and encourage our citizens to fill out the census. Also, you're saying there is an opportunity for employment for people here in Oakridge, and that they can reach out to you directly, or they can reach out, okay, and you'll leave that with us so that we know where that is?
They can apply to this URL.
Okay.
It takes about 20 minutes to fill out.
Okay.
The old civil service exam is on there. They're hired by test score. Veterans get a 10-point preference
Okay.
as a thank you.
And when does that hiring process start?
It's already in motion. And
Okay.
we will be hiring actually for, as long as people are doing well at their jobs, they'll probably stay for about a year.
Okay.
But they're hired 8-week renewals.
Okay.
And
And then those that, when we have a census worker come to our door for some reason,
Yeah.
whether they're part of that every 35 house, do they come with identification? Will our
yes,
know who
yes,
are?
they do. And your police department has been sent what exactly a census badge looks like. We've been concerned that if we post a census badge, someone's going to photocopy it. So we've been in this kind of quandary because we want citizens and residents to also know what a census badge looks like. But it is a photo identification. It says the Census Bureau on it. The person should have a tablet, and the only questions they are asking right now, it should go something like this. Hi, my name's Michelle. I'm from the Census Bureau, and I just wanted you to know that I was here double checking your address. I wasn't casing the place. Thank you very much. Okay, that's one. But if you're every 35th house, they will say the same thing, and then say, we just want to double check that this is a single residency. Is there only one family here, or is there also a fifth wheel or apartment or a little house that's occupied? And then if the person says, well, yeah, actually my uncle lives in the fifth wheel out back, then there's up to 4 other questions that are all about the capacity of that. Because they want to know, the census wants to know if it's a multifamily dwelling.
So does that, I'm a little confused, and so I'll ask what they're going to ask. It's like, so have I taken my census then by answering those questions?
Nope, that is just double checking the address. Because if there is a second address there, the census will send more than one form.
Got it.
It's an issue of the number of forms, and then how they get there. Okay? So the census is first figuring out the addresses and how many families live there in separate residences. So if your uncle lives in your house, well, then they're part of the household, right? So there's the most is 5 questions that are all about the residents. Those 9 questions, you will be sent them in the second week of March. You should get your census form. Okay? If you don't fill it out, you get a reminder the next week. If you don't fill it out, you'll get a reminder the next week. If you don't fill it out, the second to last, the last week of March or so, you'll get the old-fashioned form because the census is assuming that you don't have a computer. And you'll be asked to fill it out by hand. If the census doesn't receive the form by the end of April, and the website will actually be open until the end of April, then we'll be sending someone to the house, knock on your door, and ask you those 9 questions. Or ask your neighbor, how many people live there. Okay? Because the census, at the very least, wants a population count. Okay? And that's, the census believes it's done the best it can do by, in essence, providing these services to count. That's how the census sees it.
So the biggest takeaway that we need to remember as a community is whether or not we like a census or don't like a census, is it's constitutionally required. But the important thing is that if we get our numbers right, that means more money to our schools, that means more money that comes to us to be able to use, especially the schools. They need to get that count as accurate as it could possibly be. You know, it's like setting aside free money. And our schools and other areas can use money, so let's not ignore it. Go ahead, Counselor.
I heard you say early in your discussion something about the city could get dinged if the addresses aren't correct. Could you explain what that means?
The example with the city of Florence, the address canvasser missed a new development that was not in the census's record.
So
The city didn't get, the census never sent the forms to those homes.
Okay.
And when the city of Florence got their records, they're like, well, how come? Because the census knows, and the census reports, Florence had to petition to find out what the problem was. But the census, the census knows what addresses didn't respond, right? And so the census was put in the position of, Florence said, hey, did you miss this new development? Because that's like 200 people, and we only have 1,000. We don't understand. Because Florence did the best publicity of anyone in Lane County. They actually posted someone at the post office, and I was their partnership specialist in 2010.
So I think one of the other questions is so we have a city limit. We are Oakridge, but we service a greater area.
Yeah.
So can you sign up to serve that great area? How do you take care of our areas? And I think she mentioned the High Prairie, which is an area that's up and above us. But it's not part of our community as far as formal.
So, the census will give you a population count, for example, for the city of Oakridge. However, Oakridge is not in its own census tract. Okay, the way it goes is like a city block, there's a census block. We often don't give you data on a census block because people can be, found, right? We usually don't expose that data, but we do expose almost all census tract data as long as we believe that nobody's private information could be deduced. Oakridge, your census tract is much bigger than your city.
Oh, okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yes, that makes
And you can
sense.
actually look it up. I can give you a URL if you want to look up your all the data in your census tract.
Yes.
It does give you your non-response rate.
Okay.
It's census.gov/ROAM. And just so you know, there'll be a blue box, and you have to push OK, and it'll be just like Google Maps. You have to page in right to Oakridge and click on Oakridge, and you'll see the census tract, and it'll give you all of it. You're welcome.
Go ahead, Bobby.
I had a couple comments. I know I had a gal already come to my house from the census. And she's a local person, and she has a tablet, so I think they've already started doing something here.
Okay, thank you for saying that. Because they don't tell me, by the way.
Yeah, so, and she's pretty trustworthy, so that something has started. But to piggyback on what you just said about the schools and how important this is, and because of where I work in seniors and people with disabilities, and I do a lot of older American sex programs, I know this is vitally important for people in that category, and making sure that Lane County gets the funding for those programs to help our seniors and people that really need that.
The Department of Human Services Senior and Disability Services Program is almost 100% on census population numbers.
Yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah. Go ahead.
I just also wanted to reiterate that as the daughter of a genealogist, who spent at least 20 of the last years of her life researching our family history, is very important. A lot of her information came from old censuses. And we now have traced our family all the way back to the
the census, which means post a recruitment flyer on your door or anything like that, because I have extra forms for you, and I want to give you my card. Because I can email you I can email you all this stuff. So there is a partnership, we call it a pledge form, because we didn't want to put agreement, because it sounded like a contract. You know, because we're not going to follow up. We're not going to check. You know, but I'm asking the city to fill out, and I gave it to your administrator, just to fill out the things that you feel like you're able to do, so I can provide you the material. Eventually I'll have posters, and I have recruitment flyers. I can offer you all of this stuff in digital form, and eventually we'll have drop-in articles that you can put on your Facebook page, and just to make it easy for you. But I want to suggest that you organize a committee. If you want me to facilitate it, give you this presentation or something, I'm happy to do so. I'm happy to go to the chamber. I'm happy to go, but if you want to take a lot of people from a lot of different services and businesses together, which, is probably a good thing for a town like Oakridge, I'm happy to facilitate. How do you all want to work together? What do you want to do? Who do you feel are the target populations? When you look at your non-response rate, who do you think that population is? And, because they need different information. Often young people are like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll fill it out. Before I knew what it was, I thought it was identity theft. I was like, what, right? So, so those are the kinds of things. So anyway, I want to hand out my cards.
Thank you.
I don't know, can you raise your hand if you want one? Because, I only got so many. Anybody else want one? Sure, thank you. All right, thank you for this time. It's a really busy, important meeting,
I think
so.
Sherry wants to ask you a question. Go ahead.
I have a two-part question. You were talking about the languages in 16 different languages.
Yeah.
Can you leave some of those forms here in the city of Oakridge, because we do have non-speaking English people here? And the other question was, you were talking about the non-residents, the new dwellings coming in, and
New construction.
New construction, but nobody was living there yet, and so the person missed that. Is there a way that the census worker can come to the city and ask the purpose question here? City administrator would know probably. If there's anybody actually building that for their own, or that's where their new residents would be, and the number would not be up on that. And you're going to find a lot of numbers are not on the page right here.
Right, I hear you. I lived in rural places, so yeah. Rural areas are really challenging for the census area. So the answer to your first question is, if anyone emails me for those materials, I will find them, and I will send them to you. I don't believe we have all of these materials in those 16. These are the publicity materials. We don't have them all in those, but I will order them, I will press people for them, and I will remind them to, because we have translators. And I'm like, I want this one in Farsi. And, that'll happen. That's your first.
Even the form in the census taking is what I was also talking about.
Yes,
So
the
they
census
know
goes
what
to
they're
the address, so then we need someone to call and say, send that form to this address in Farsi, which is a challenge, but there's an 800 number, and by the way, there's, during the census, I didn't tell you this, there's an 800 number, and that person will get you to the people who speak those 16 languages, so that they can get help in understanding it. The other issue you asked, though, is that census worker is not allowed to do that. The city has to have a city planner that's usually at LCOG that goes through a process called LUCA. And LUCA is where you put that new construction into, in essence, the census record. And then the census decides if they accept it, which I just found out about. I thought y'all were just correcting it, but there's actually this other oversight, that thing that happens.
Well, we really appreciate you coming in and telling us the importance of it. So thank you very much for taking the time.
I'm willing to come back. I just live in Eugene.
Okay, that's good.
All right, take care. Thank you, everybody.
Wonderful. The next order of business is a presentation on what's fair by Rock.
Okay.
What's fair?
back while Rick is queuing up the video. The music was composed and recorded here in Oakridge in a studio by a local. He got really inspired after attending the bus fair and decided to write a song, which is the soundtrack to this video. So let's give it a walk through real quick. Yeah.
Where are you going? What are you doing? Who are you and why are you here today? Why do you spend your whole life just working? Spinning your wheels like a hamster in a cage. Always waiting for a little vacation, wishing for a break at the end of your long workday. Hey, 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 run away, run away, hey, 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 run away. Run away when you're home. You're not a machine that made someone else's money. You're not the motor for someone else's wheels. Why not make your home out of a school bus? Why not get rid of all the things that you don't need? Why not hold your home behind a pickup truck? Your own wheels. Hey, 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 run away, run away, walk away, hey, run away, no need to stay, just get away, drive away, hey, run away, do it today, just run away. With your home, with your home, with your home, with your home, run away. With your home.
All right. Cue the lights. As you can see, the event was not successful. Nobody showed up because they had a good time. Bubble machine. That was random. Okay, first of all, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Brock Butterfield. I've lived in Oakridge for 4 years now, and this was my idea to put on a very unique event here in town. There is no other event like this in the world. But if you find one, I'll buy you a beer. But no, there's definitely not. So first of all, I'm gonna go over some numbers, but I wanted to thank the council and the mayor. This event would not have been possible without the use of the grant money, so thank you for your support. I would also like to thank Rick for all his help in making sure everything was done by the book and in the best interest of the city and our community. Robert from Public Works for ensuring Greenwaters Park was in tip-top shape. Many attendees commented on how clean and nice the park was. Chief Martin and the OPD. reserves for the crowd and traffic control when we had 3 times the amount of estimated people show up. That was fun. Jackie, thank you for figuring out the grant reimbursement protocol while the city was without a financial director. Lifesaver, thank you. So now I'd like to go over the report that I have online, and anybody can look up this report. You just go to thebusfair.com/report. It'll give you all the same information I'm going to quickly go over here. So total attendee head count. From what I can count, we had 1,229 people show up. This number is based off the total number of wristbands ordered, 1,500, for the event, minus the remaining wristbands, 271. The number does not include kids 12 and under, as they were not required to wear a wristband. So we could have had a few more attendees depending on how many kids showed up. Total number of tickets comped. I gave 192 tickets away. This is the number for tickets comped for volunteers, musicians, vendors, and family and friends of musicians and vendors. Total and the cost of the event. Here comes the big zinger. This cost way more than I thought it was going to. $23,841.27. Had it underneath my mattress, no big deal. Breakdown of the total cost of the event. So to give you an idea where the money went, I'm going to quickly go over a few of these things. Equipment and supplies. We spent over $7,300 on that. It was the fencing, signage boards, miscellaneous hardware, office supplies. Marketing. We spent a little over $8,700 on graphics, online ads, radio ads, banners, flyers, newspapers, USPS mailers, photographers, etc. Permits, insurance, and services. We spent a little over $6,000. That was paying our local police department to handle the crowd control services and traffic. That was renting restrooms, dumpsters, etc. Music and entertainment. We spent $1,750, and that went towards musicians, which were all local musicians in Oakridge, minus the very last act that we had, which was the main act. We also paid for a DJ during the morning to play music, and then the PA rental from Scott, Sharp Sound Production. Or not Scott, that's Kirk Trotter. Yeah, Scott was helping with a lot of that, though. Total money invested back into the community by the bus fare, $7,500.93. So this is money that went back into our community by various ways. Some examples of purchases for equipment and supplies from the local hardware store, other stores in town, advertising for the local newspaper, advertising through the post office, paid volunteer positions, donation to concerts in the park, hiring local police for the traffic crowd control, local photographers, videographers, catering for volunteers and exhibitors, and then the local musicians. Beer, cider, and wine sales. The majority of beer, cider, and wine sales was a fundraiser for our local nonprofit Goats. And they said that this was their highest netted fundraising event in 7 years. So that put a lot of money back into their fund to help maintain our trail sports around here. Total average hours donated by the event coordinator, that's yours truly, November through June. When I tracked my hours, whenever I sat down on my computer or answered an email or had a meeting, I tracked my hours. The only 2 days I didn't track my hours was Friday and Saturday day event. It was a little crazy. I kind of got distracted. But I put about 885 hours in between November to June to pull this thing off. Now we get into the fun stuff. So we did a survey. So we had an online survey for people to fill out, and we also had paper surveys when you came in to buy your ticket for anybody that didn't buy a ticket online. So this report is based off of 511 surveys out of the 1,229 attendees that chose to fill out online prior to the event or on paper the day of the event. Filling out the survey was not required but encouraged. I tried to bribe people with raffle tickets, which seemed to work very well. People wanted to win things. So with that, the first question was, how did you hear about the bus fare? So the majority of people that heard about the bus fare was word of mouth. The next, at 28%, was Instagram. And then followed by that, we have Facebook, and then other, and then radio flyer and email. I also asked, have you ever been to Oakridge? 56% said yes, 44% said no. So that's not too bad. If you're staying overnight, where at? I can see here that we had stays at the Arbor Inn, the Oakridge Lodge, Cascade Motel, Blue Wolf, Best Western, Westford Lodge, Casey's RV Park, Airbnbs. but the majority of people said they weren't staying overnight, so they were just coming up for the day. And then we had a good 20% of people that actually live in Oakridge, so they don't need a hotel. They got a home. At least I hope they got a home. What day do you plan to arrive was one of the questions, and the majority of people showed up on Saturday, then Friday, then Thursday. We even had people showing up as early as Tuesday, which is kind of surprising. I asked, do you plan to stay to recreate or explore on Sunday? We had a whopping 46% of people say yes, and then 32% said no, and then 21% said maybe. I asked, do you plan to buy food or groceries while in town? We had 68% said yes, 12% said no, and 19% said maybe. And this is the fun one. If Bigfoot and Sasquatch had a thumb wrestling match, who would win? Looks like Sasquatch took the cake on that with 61%. That was actually a trick question. Some of you know what I mean on that. Yeah, exactly. It's the same. Okay, geolocation of attendees. This gets really cool. Look where everybody came from. We had people coming from 27 different states, 3 different provinces in Canada. The majority of people came from Oregon, 499 people. And this number is based off of the online ticket sales plus the surveys filled out. So I have a lot more than that 511 that I mentioned earlier, where I could actually collect this data from. The other popular states was Washington, obviously, California, Idaho, but we had people come as far as Florida, Massachusetts, Maine. I spoke to a couple that flew in from Michigan because they wanted to convert a bus, but they wanted to learn a little bit about it first. So they came, stayed in an Airbnb, and took a pre-seminar class we had on Sunday, and then they emailed me 2 days later after the event and said that they made the purchase online for a bus in Arizona that they were going to go pick up and start converting. We also have an artist in town that was at the bus fair that afterwards decided to sell their RV and go buy a bus, which is now parked in their driveway here in Oakridge that they're currently converting. So I don't know when I started. I'm sorry. I apologize in advance. Okay, I'm going to skip a few other things on the report and jump into what was one of the other things that Bus Fair did for the community was we worked with Emerald Broadband in the city to get Wi-Fi down at Greenwaters Park. So I don't know if many of you know, but there's actually Wi-Fi down at Greenwaters Park now. So this makes our park very enticing. It's shut off right now because of the community building fiasco fire thing, but I'm sure, Rick, at some point it'll be back on, once we get all that sorted out. So I noticed, I got searching around on YouTube for people that had posted videos of the bus fair, and one of the YouTube videos, which is on thebusfair.com if you want to go look at it, is a live Facebook feed of a woman that she did for 20 minutes at the event, and she mentions that she's so glad that we had internet about 15 times in her video. So it's a big thing, people want to stream live, they want to show that they're having a good time and that they're here, in Oakridge. And she mentions Oakridge numerous times, which is great for us. Hopefully it gets more people excited about it and want to come. Okay, future plans for the bus fair. So we are going to have it again next year, year 2, and we're going to have it 2 days. So it's going to be Friday and Saturday. However, we had a lot of requests from people that they wanted to learn more about school buses. And so, for example, like intro to solar, woodworking, fabricating, where to buy buses, how to buy buses. So all day Friday, we're going to have seminars. And so my goal is to get these people to come and stay in town, come to the classes during Friday, and then stay the night, and then be able to go to the event, the main event that we'll have on Saturday. So the main event will have 30 new school buses on display, art and food vendors, and live music, just like we did last year. I'm also planning to hire 2 locals to fill 2 needed positions, so I'm creating 2 jobs. I need an event coordinator. 885 hours by myself about killed me. That was not fun. So I need somebody that I can work with to help make this thing go even smoother so that I'm not running around like a crazy man all day. If any of you saw me that day, you know what I'm talking about. I ran 17 miles according to my watch, so that was a lot. I'm also going to hire a volunteer coordinator because volunteers are needed to help pull this thing off. So that's another area that I need a lot of help in because that takes a lot for volunteer procurement. We will continue to give locals an exclusive discount like we did last year to attend. And in closing, I'd like to say thank you to the Oakridge residents and businesses that supported the bus fare. My favorite one was Ray's, who put the following message on their highway sign: "Welcome bus fare, don't panic, we've got organic." That's it, that's all I got. So, council, thank you again. I don't know if anybody has any questions you want to ask me. I know obviously this was not as successful as your car shows you put on in the past, from what I've heard. So.
Sounds like the bicycle thing last week was pretty successful.
Sure, yeah, absolutely, yeah. But council, Maxwell, yes.
So I just want to speak to this really quick, being a millennial. I am on Instagram, and I saw so many people who were reposting and tagging, geotagging Oakridge. And for us, this is a lot of great exposure for younger folks, and our community could certainly use more younger faces. But with that being said, the people that I follow from the bus fare have even come back to Oakridge. Numerous folks have, so pretty cool to see.
That's true. We have had about, that I can count on my hand, 4 buses that have come back through Oakridge a couple other weekends after the bus fare had stayed. Obviously, they're in their self-contained vehicles, so they're camping out, either in the woods or up at Salmon Creek. But they are spending money in our town. They went to the bike shop, they rented bikes, they went to the grocery store, bought food. One of them actually had to have their brakes repaired here right in town, so it was great. Todd told me about that. So, the goal is to try to get people to come back, even if it's not just at the bus fare, to come and enjoy our beautiful town. Bobby, did you have a question?
I do.
Yeah.
I just wanted to know, did you earn enough from the events that you'll be able to do this next year?
We broke even. So, and that's the great thing is, and we would not have been able to break even if it wouldn't have been for the help of the city and the grant money that we received for it. So, I'm going to be taking a risk next year again, and I don't know how much grant money will be approved, but I'm with combining 2 days now. That's going to cost a little bit more. The seminars are going to be taught by teachers, and I'm going to pay the teachers. So that's going to increase that cost. But my hope is, with how well the event went the first year and how many people are organically talking about it online, how many people are excited about it to come back next year and telling their friends about it, that we'll get even more to come next year, and the ticket sales will help offset that cost.
I want to tag on to what Trish said, pretty much reiterate that. I'm not a millennial, but yeah, you are. I'm just like a little bit out of it. I did see it all over social media on more than just Instagram, and I've seen a lot of people after the fact, like she was saying, wow, I'm going to go to this next year. And then also, I was there from what were we there, Trish, 8:30? Yeah, we were there. Till pretty much closing. And I made sure my job was to get those surveys out, and I ended up getting people checked in because the lines were so crazy around the building. I was hustling my butt all day just because there were so many people, I couldn't believe it. But I made a point to ask everybody where you were from, and I actually remember a couple that was from Germany that came for it too, and I see that that's not up there. So there were actually people out of the U.S. that came to this. I was really stunned.
And I've heard about a few of those as well, but again, they didn't fill out the surveys, so we don't have the data, but I have heard of a few people that actually came from out of the country besides Canada to this event.
And I just want to remind everybody that one of the reasons why Rob is here is to report back to us about how successful the event was, because we did give that money, for which he's expressed his gratitude. We're just really glad that we can do it. But beyond that, he ran a really great event. He ran a good event from the beginning to the end with a lot of good statistics, paperwork, organization, and we're hoping that this can be a template for others as we have other events come to our community, that we can say, this is what we'd like from you. So if we're going to help you out, we would like to hear back from you about how successful that event was. That includes those events that we already do in our community and we've done traditionally. But new events that may come in will have a way to present it and gauge it and then analyze it afterwards, which I think is always really helpful for us to be able to know how to do. So thank you, Rob, so much for coming and sharing the stats and the success and the video, and it was great. I have to tell you, I went in and out of every one of those buses because I was a judge. And oh my gosh, they are so impressive. But I was more impressed that I could actually get in and out of the last one. It was like,
I was exhausted by the end, but it was wonderful.
Yeah, thank you for doing that. I know you had a not so great knee,
Yeah, I
and
did.
there was a lot to ask of you, but I really appreciated it. It was great having you announce the awards as well. That got people really excited about it. Every one of the school buses that showed up to display already want to come back next year, and I had to explain to them, well, we need new buses so that there's an attraction to it, but we'd love to have you come and camp and stay and just enjoy the event as an attendee next year instead. So everybody's already got it on their calendar for next year.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah,
I
of course.
appreciate it.
My wife and I decided to step aerobics.
Step aerobics. Oh, it was. That's excellent. See, that's nice that I should have had. Okay. Oh my God. Okay, so,
I know.
let's move on very quickly here. We want to just talk about the upcoming League Board and Cities conference that we're all going to. Council is going to a conference the end of next week, Thursday and Friday, and Saturday morning and then. All of us but one will be attending. I think you've already had, two? What, okay. I thought you were saying, I thought you were signaling me.
Bobby was, yeah, Bobby's not going, I'm not going.
Oh, okay. Trisha's signaling me. So, we will be out there and burning our little hearts out, hopefully. I think you were all queried by the city administrator as to when you would do that, and I maybe we'll be getting information out to you about what we want to do. As far as the gathering time, probably on Thursday evening, since we'll be there. And we'll give you that information. Also, just to remind you all that because we're outside of the city, not to worry, we can gather together. As long as we don't talk about city business, we're fine. We're there to learn process, procedure, policy, get recommendations from other cities, talk to lots of different experts about how you conduct your city and what options you have in order to make it better. So, thank you all for coming, and look forward to that for everybody. And then we'll talk about that also at the next council meeting, and make sure that we report back to you what we learned. Okay, let's move on here. I'm not mistaken. Budget committee? Meeting discussion. Okay. I'm going to start this out just by saying, and most of the words I said, I won't forget anything there. So we as a council agreed that we wanted to have the budget committee meet earlier than the first of the year, which is what we traditionally have done. ORS allows the budget committee to do this under specific criteria. You received information from the CA by email a while ago, maybe a week and a half or so, and I think I gave you a copy of that of the criteria at the dais here. I believe that when we initially did this, council, we intended that the meeting was to review the current budget and to determine how we can adjust it. This, unfortunately, is not possible to do with the budget committee. That's not what we can do. So once the budget is passed, it becomes the responsibility of our administration to make changes and work with council to present supplementary budgets to enact the changes that we as council approve or suggest. Our finance director will be prepared soon to present us with that overview, and a supplemental budget will be part of that request. So recognizing that we don't have a full budget committee right now, people, I would like for council to consider what direction you want to take for the scheduled meeting that we have on October 10th. Do you want to convene a pre-meeting for the budget committee to undertake discussions of training? The things that I'm going to list out here are what are allowed. So we can undertake discussions of training. We can discuss spending priorities. We can talk about philosophy on how to allocate scarce resources. But we have to understand that we can't talk about specific estimates or appropriation amounts, question whether to fund a specific program or expenditures, or question whether to impose tax rates. That's ORS. So, or we could delay the pre-meeting. So a pre-meeting is okay. I don't want to say that we shouldn't have one, but I want us to understand what we can and cannot do. So before, yeah, go ahead.
Kathy, I
move money here to there. So it's a very fine line. It doesn't mean we can't do it.
It says you can discuss your current year budget.
In general. That means not specific numbers. And so I don't want to get us into something that we are going to get in trouble with. I also don't want to say we shouldn't do it, but it's my job to make sure that we do this the right way. So we have a choice. We have a meeting already set. We can have our meeting and do the things that we need to do in it. But as far as changing the budget as it exists, discussing a supplemental budget, that is a council job. We will do that as a council. We will not do that in the budget committee. And we kind of thought that that's what we could do, because I remember when we had that discussion. Councilor Hall, go ahead.
I was gonna start to
Yeah.
say, I'm really disappointed because it was presented to the budget committee that we could immediately go into a supplemental, budget. And I know that people base their votes on that, particularly Councilor Maxfield stated in her vote that she would only change her vote because she was advised that we could immediately go into we could reconvene the budget committee into supplemental budget. So, I just think we need to take every step with the Department of Revenue or something because we're giving out bad advice. We're making plans on bad advice.
That's exactly right. That's exactly what happened. I don't disagree with you. But that doesn't mean that we're not going to address this budget. And as a council, we will be addressing this budget, which is what our finance director has been doing all this time. We're going through and looking at it, analyzing it, scrubbing it, and will bring back to us suggestions as to what he believes we should be doing and presenting a supplemental budget to make those changes. But that supplemental budget cannot be approved or reviewed by the budget committee. It gets approved and reviewed by the council. So as long as we understand that, I just wanted to make that really clear. Okay, so first, do you want to continue and go ahead and repeat that October 10th meeting? Don?
Yes, I do.
Okay, all right. Well, we've already discussed this. We set a date. We passed a motion. I just wanted to make sure that given the circumstances, we're still on track for that.
One
Yes.
clarification, is this budget meeting on the 10th only for council, or is it for budget?
It's the budget
and
committee.
council? It's the whole?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead, Tom.
I also made some notes of something I wanted to talk about on this topic. During the budget committee session earlier this year, it was discussed and agreed that the budget committee needed to meet to discuss a supplemental budget for 1920 as soon as possible into the new fiscal year for a variety of reasons, but mainly that the fire department budget was not going to work. Then, on July 25th, the council made a motion that passed unanimously scheduling the budget committee meeting for September 12th and another on October 10th. On the night before the September 12th meeting, I asked where we were going to have the meeting and had the budget committee been notified. Over the course of the next several hours, I learned that Mayor Holston had previously discussed the matter with our city administrator, and that they must have decided not to have the meeting. And they forgot to discuss it, or basically inform, the city council of their decision. In those emails, Mayor Holston also asked Brian and Rick not to post the meeting as it was canceled. Again, making a decision for the council instead of with the council. This meeting was scheduled by a motion and a vote of the council. My concern here is less about the reason for the meeting being canceled and more about the issue of the mayor, who is only one member of the council, meeting with the city administrator and directing him or making a decision together with him instead of involving the council. You'll see what I mean by reading through the email thread in order, which I brought copies for council. I know, that's my point. Why have a council if the mayor is okay, if it's okay for her to make decisions without involving the council? My concern, no, I'm not finished. My concern here, oh, I've already looked at part.
was something that she could sign, or whether it's not something that needed to be taken to the council. She was given the advice that it should be taken, that she could sign it, she did not have to take it to the council, and so she did. That wasn't my decision to do. That was, although I didn't sign it, obviously. As far as me deciding things that I wanted to do and influencing the city administrator, there is discussion between the city administrator and the mayor at all times. That happens. Because I have an office there and I'm in. We have a city administrator and we have had a temporary city administrator interim, 3 different ones. And during that time, our city has been under, I think we could all say, pretty much turmoil. It's been a very difficult process. And so there had to be some guidance there. There has been never a time when I suggested in any way that the council should be ignored or that my opinion should weigh any heavier with council or with the city administrator than anyone else's. I recognize that that is a difficult understanding when you're not in City Hall and you're not the mayor, but there is a bit of a difference between the two. I would never act without the city council's approval on anything that was required or even ethically should be with council. I think the city administrator at this time probably can back that up and has gone beyond what needed to be done to make sure that you have been shown even things that you don't need to have approval for. If you believe I should be censured, I think, you don't know the process for it.
I brought it. I'll
Okay.
pass it on.
So if you believe that I should be censured, then let's look at the process and we'll talk about it. But I also don't think that it's fair to ask that I be censured and ask for a vote at this time. And so I have a chance to look at what you're saying and rebut some of that.
Mayor, if I might,
Yes, please.
to address I would consider an allocation. I will tell you, the budget committee scheduling was on my watch. I had it as tentative in my calendar, and I had no idea, and I completely dropped it. And by the time I was reminded that it was there, we were well inside the window to inform the public of the meeting. I know that as a staff, we were not ready to come to a budget meeting or a pre-budget meeting to present any information because the finance director was still going through the particulars of the budget as it is now. Secondly, if you believe that the mayor is influencing my decisions about the fire department, you are very wrong, Councilman. Thank you.
Is there any other discussion? Any other councilors besides Council Kenyon want to say something before she has a second opportunity?
I want to know what the contract was that was signed on music.
Our contract with our CPA, Summer Sears,
Came up for renewal.
What was it about?
It's for her two contracts for a year at a time, I believe. I'm not sure.
It was forwarded to you in an email earlier this week.
Yeah.
I don't recall the exact amount.
there's actually 2 contracts.
So we can,
Both with Summer. Oh, only one that the mayor signed, to be fair.
any other discussion, Dawn? You had your hand up.
Yes, thank you. Couple of things. One is, it's really not, did you say that the former city administrator called the League of Oregon Cities,
Called LCOG.
to ask if she could sign the contract? Why wouldn't she look at the charter? Or why wouldn't you look at the charter, which
She did.
clearly states,
She did.
okay, it says,
She did.
upon powers and duties of officers, the mayor shall appoint the committees provided by the rules of the council. The mayor shall sign all approved records of proceedings of the council. The mayor shall have no veto power and sign all ordinances passed by the council within 3 days of passing. And on approval of the council, the mayor shall endorse all bonds of city officers and bonds for licenses, contracts and proposals,
item, should it be signed? And that was the question. That was not my question, Council Payne. I didn't say, oh, I'll just sign that and get it through. That was what was presented to me by the city administrator. So,
And so as the mayor, it would be appreciated in the future, that question is brought to you, that you would say, contracts are approved by the council according to our charter.
not all contracts are, it depends on the monetary amount.
No,
But I
it
agree
doesn't. Read
with
the
you.
charter, please.
John?
Mayor Holston, there's a motion on the table. I
There
call
is.
for the question.
All right. Call for a vote, please.
Mayor Holston,
No.
Councilor Maxfield. No. Councilor Kenyon,
Aye.
Councilor Holcomb,
No.
Councilor Holland,
Aye.
Councilor Whitney,
No.
Councilor Hadley,
Aye.
What was the vote? 4 nays. Yes. That should be all. Thank you. Let's move on.
I actually have something I want to say about this.
All right, go ahead.
We can't keep having surprises like this. These kind of things need
I
to
think
come
we
to
put
the
this to
council.
bed. If you'd like to discuss this at a later time, we'll bring it up. But we have a lot to do at 9 o'clock. Thank you. We have 10.1, Planning Commission Training Fund request.
Yes, just, I'll make it as quick as possible. I was incorrect when I mentioned the other last council meeting that we had a line item for planning commission training. We do not. So, as the planner, I am requesting that the city council share $200 of their training fund so that 4 of my planning commissioners can attend these trainings. Basically, in a nutshell, for the question. 4. So the 4 are Commissioner Weinhold, Commissioner Gobelman, Commissioner Artane, and Commissioner Speedoff.
Do I have a motion? Council Whitney?
I move we approve $200 to be used for planning commission training from the city council travel and training budget line.
For a second. Seconded by Paul Forcom. Any further discussion? Call for a vote, please.
Councilor Whitney,
Aye.
Councilor Holland, Councilor Holcomb,
Aye.
Mayor Holston,
Aye.
Councilor Kenyon,
Aye.
Councilor Maxfield. Aye. Councilor Hadley,
Aye.
Thank you, that passes. Let's move on. We're gonna move this a little bit around so that we can do, the police services report. Chief, would you like to give that?
Yeah, I think-
Emergency services also?
It's pretty short, so I can do it real fast. I do not have emergency service one. I'll make sure that's here next council meeting.
Okay.
August 2019 council report is we had 608 calls. The result of 20 major case reports. Some good news. We had a certified reserve officer apply with us. He's passed his background check, and he'll have a final interview, and he'll have to take a psychological test and pass it. And if all that goes good, we hope to have him on the street by November. And he's experienced, and we'll have to go through a field training process, but his will be truncated because he's got experience.
Excellent. Thank you. And you said there's no emergency services
Yeah,
report?
I'll get that to you next time.
Okay, not a problem. Okay, council, we are at 9 o'clock. We can choose to go on, or we can choose to stop at this time. If you choose to go on, I would say that you're going to have to commit to another 45 minutes to an hour. What would be your pleasure? I'm open for discussion. Councilor Hollis?
I would like to table the water rate, resolution because I believe that's gonna be lengthy, correct? However, I don't think it's fair to table the committee appointments. We have people here that are waiting for that, because they're waiting for the last couple hours. So I would move that we continue with 14.1, 14.1.1,
to our next regular scheduled meeting.
Okay.
Okay. So appointments, 14.1, committee appointments. Go ahead.
14.1 is basically, there is no action, it just basically is a statement that we did not receive the applicants for safety committee or budget committee, and they need to report for 20 days. Moving on, 14.1.1, there's currently one vacancy for a library board position, and we have one applicant from William Jones.
Okay. First kind of motion.
I move we appoint William Jones to fill the library board vacancy.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Would you like any discussion?
I don't need any.
Okay, all right, let's call for a vote. Oh, okay. What did I miss?
William Jones.
Well, didn't we need to vote on the table?
Oh,
good.
thank you very much for keeping us on track. So let's just stop this for a minute. So we have a motion before us to table 15.1, the resolution 09-2019, resolution adjusting the fee for water charges, and any subsequent discussions with that until our next regular scheduled meeting on, you got the calendar there?
October.
Hold on.
Third.
October 3rd. Can I have a second?
Yeah,
All those in
already-
favor?
I was already made the motion, yeah.
Oh, you made the motion already?
Yeah, I already
Okay.
seconded it.
All right, so you've got a motion, now you just need a vote? Okay.
Councilor Whitney?
Aye.
Mayor Holston?
Aye.
Councilor Kenyon?
Aye.
Councilor Maxfield? Aye. Councilor Hadley?
Aye.
Councilor Hallett?
Aye.
Councilor Holcomb?
Aye.
That passes. Thank you, and thank you, Jackie, for keeping us on task. 14.1.1, library board, let's just do this all over again. So, now I have a motion.
Oh, do we have to read?
Yes, read it.
I move we appoint William Jones to fill the library board vacancy.
And a second?
Second.
Okay. And there was no discussion, any discussion now? Call for vote.
Councilor Whitney? Aye. Councilor Kenyon?
Aye.
Councilor Hallett? Aye. Councilor Holcomb?
Aye.
Mayor Holston?
Aye.
Councilor Hadley?
Aye.
Councilor Maxfield? Aye.
That passes. Thank you, Bill.
Thank you. Thank you all.
14.1.2.
We have three vacancies for administrative committee. We received 4 applicants. And they're on the packet.
I have a question.
Yes, go ahead.
I was looking at the chart, and it looks like we might have 4 vacancies and not 3.
We actually might have 4 vacancies. Don, you were on there. So that makes it 4 vacancies.
Yep.
There's actually nothing that says I can't stay on it.
Sure, depending on how many other councilors are on there, I don't want to keep counting them.
Yeah, I was on there and I had to be removed, and I became a council.
When you remove.
Did you see a document that said you had to do that?
Well, I don't know if we have that, it might be just what we normally have done. But, we have 3 open positions right now that we know of for sure. And we have a question about Dawn. I am open to just filling a few positions at this point and then making a determination. I don't want to go through it right now. Because I think it would just delay the whole process. Does that sound okay to council? What would you suggest?
Okay.
Okay, let's do that then. So I think what I'd like to do is introduce the applicants into the fire.
See the record.
Okay. What? I'm sorry, I missed what someone said.
Oh, I just said unfortunately.
Oh, okay. Lauren Hogue,
Yes.
Lauren is here. Amy Kelly.
Yes.
Hi, Amy. Thank you for being here and for sticking it out all the way to the end. And Trudy Hammond. And Trudy is
wrote in my resume, the council, commissions, and committees you have are extended to express the feedback of the city. And in this advisory capacity, you would consider it a little more technical to bring information to the city, the council, the administration of, an example could be future gas prices or things like this. You know, very detailed information that is very important to the city. Knowing that it is responsible to report to the city on these items and the city council be informed when they make their decisions on that. So, but it is to provide feedback, information, and visualization of future events possible.
Thank you.
Yes.
And Amy?
Hi. Hello, for anybody that doesn't know me, I'm Amy Kelly. Previous committees I've been on for administrative have been to bring any public concern, comment, information, or guidance to city council, city mayor, city resources, to be more informed. We go out, we hunt for these things that might improve our economy, improve our city, improve our communities, and not everybody can be everywhere at one time. So that's what I believe that an administrative committee is about.
Thank you. Counselor, yes.
I'll just say, so I chair this committee, and we use Google Drive and Google Docs quite a bit. So if you're going to be on this committee, it would be super helpful if you had access to internet and were a little bit computer savvy and a little bit familiar with resolutions and other such documents. One bit.
So we have a motion here, we can do the motion separately, and I believe it's probably the best way to do it. And I will entertain a motion at this time. I'm sorry, Councilor, did you have a question, or did you?
No,
Okay. Go for it. Please.
I move that we appoint Amy Kelly to fill the vacant administrative committee position.
Any discussion? Please call for a vote.
Councilor Kenyon?
Aye.
Mayor Holston?
Aye.
Councilor Fulton?
Aye.
Councilor Hallett?
Aye.
Councilor Hadley?
Aye.
Councilor Whitney?
Aye.
Councilor Maxfield?
Aye. That passes. Amy, thank you. You're welcome. Can I have another motion, please?
I move we appoint Warren Hope to fill the vacant administrative committee position.
I'll second.
I'll second that. Okay, any discussion? Call for a vote, please.
Councilor Hadley?
Aye.
Councilor Whitney?
Aye.
Mayor Holston?
Aye.
Councilor Fulton?
Aye.
Councilor Hallett?
Aye.
Councilor Kenyon?
Aye.
Councilor Maxfield? Aye.
That passes. Lauren, thank you. Entertaining another motion. Councilor Whitney.
I move that we appoint Trudy Hammond to fill the vacant administrative committee position.
Second.
Any discussion? Sorry, it's going good. Call for a vote, please.
Councilor Fulton?
Aye.
Councilor Whitney?
Aye.
Councilor Hadley?
Aye.
Councilor Hallett?
Aye.
Councilor Kenyon?
Aye.
Mayor Holston?
No.
Councilor Maxfield?
Aye. Thank you. Rudy, thank you. That fills the 3 vacant positions. Thank you. At this time, we are going to stop. 9:15. I'm sorry, Councilor Kenyon, what?
We also have one more public comment scheduled. Can we ask if anybody wanted to do that?
We do, and all of it was on water, it appeared to be, and since we haven't done that, does anybody want to say any public comment? All right, meeting is adjourned.
You know why I'm taking the first part.
You were a wise man, Dash.
I'm on that once a week.
Once a week, we usually have wise wisdom.
Was it worth it?
got all my pictures and you was on that side.
Work for a living?
That's too much fun. The results of 20 major case reports, some good news. We had a certified reserve officer apply with us. He's passed his background check, and he'll have a final interview, and then he'll have to take a psychological test and pass it. And if all that goes good, we hope to have him on the street by November. And he's experienced, and we'll have to go through a field training process, but his will be truncated because of that experience.
Excellent. Thank you. And you said there's no emergency services?
Yeah, I'll get that to you next time.
Okay, not a problem. Okay, council, we are at 9 o'clock. We can choose to go on, or we can choose to stop at this time. If you choose to go on, I would say that you're going to have to commit to another 45 minutes to an hour. What would be your pleasure? And I'm open for discussion. Councilor Holly?
I would like to table the water rate, resolution because I believe that's going to be lengthy, correct? However, I don't think it's fair to table the committee appointments. We have people here that are waiting for that, but then we the last couple hours. So I would move that we continue with 14.1, 14.1.1, and then 1.2.
Okay. Are you in agreement?
Absolutely.
Are there any councils that say no? All right, then that's what we will do. We are tabling, Councilor, go ahead.
Friendly amendment, I wonder if we could consider scheduling a special meeting for the water discussion, and or we need to 2 weeks.
Well, given the next week is
Oh, right.
conference, I would say that we're going to have to just do that in our next regular special meeting.
Okay.
Okay. So appointments, 14.1, committee appointments. Go ahead.
14.1 is basically, there is no action, it's just basically a statement that we did not receive the applicants for safety committee or budget committee, and they need to go for 20 days. Moving on, 14.1.1, there's currently one vacancy for a library board position, and we have one applicant from William Jones.
Okay. First can I have a motion?
I move we appoint William Jones to fill the library board vacancy.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Would you like any discussion?
I don't need any.
Okay. All right, let's call for a vote. Oh, go ahead. What did I miss?
William Jones.
Well, didn't we need to vote on this?
Table.
Oh,
good.
thank you very much for keeping us on track. So let's just stop this for a minute. So we have a motion before us to table 13.1, the resolution 09-2019A, resolution adjusting the fee for water charges, and any subsequent discussions with that until our next regular scheduled meeting on you've got the calendar there?
October.
Hold on. Third. October 3rd. Can I have a second? All those in favor?
I'm with Gordon.
Oh, you made the motion already?
Already
Okay. All right, so you've got a motion, now you just need a vote? Okay.
Councilor Whitney? Aye. Mayor Holston?
Aye.
Councilor Kenyon?
Aye.
Councilor Maxfield? Aye. Councilor Hadley?
Aye.
Councilor Hallett? Aye. Councilor Holcomb?
Aye.
That passes. Thank you, and thank you, Jackie, for keeping us on task. 14.1.1, library board, let's just do this all over again. So 3 open positions right now that we know of for sure. And we have a question about Dawn. I am open to just filling a few positions at this point and then making a determination. I don't want to go through it right now. Because I think it would just delay the whole process. Does that sound okay to council? What would you suggest?
Okay.
Okay, let's do that then. So I think what I'd like to do is introduce the applicants, Elizabeth Byer.
I don't see the record.
Okay. What? I'm sorry, I missed what someone said.
Oh, I just said unfortunately.
Oh, okay. Lauren Hogue,
Yes.
Lauren is here. Amy Kelly.
Yes.
Hi, Amy. Thank you for being here and for sticking it out all the way to the end. And Trudy Hammond. And Trudy is here also. Thank you. So I would ask council, do you have any questions of these individuals? So I do. I would like to just pose a question and have each of you answer it. What do you believe the purpose of the admin committee is, and why do you want to serve on it?
Well, I believe that the purpose of the admin committee would be to share ideas in administrative levels for different areas around the community that we can put together programs and benefit each other with functioning for the community.
Thank you, Lauren.
As I wrote in my resume, the council, commissions, and committees you have are extended to express the feedback of the city. And in this advisory capacity, you would consider it a little more technical to bring information to the city, the council, the administration. Of an example could be future gas prices or things like this. You know, very detailed information that is very important to the city. Knowing that it is responsible to report to the city on these items, and the city council be informed when they make their decisions on that. So, but it is to provide feedback, information, and visualization of future events possible.
Thank you. And Amy?
Hi. Hello, for anybody that doesn't know me, I'm Amy Kelly. Previous committees I've been on for administrative have been to bring any public concern, comment, information, or guidance to city council, city mayor, city resources, to be more informed. We go out, we hunt for these things that might improve our economy, improve our city, improve our communities, and not everybody can be everywhere at one time. So that's what I believe that an administrative committee is about.
Thank you. Council, yes.
I'll just say, so I chair this committee, and we use Google Drive and Google Docs quite a bit. So if you're going to be on this committee, it would be super helpful if you had access to internet and were a little bit computer savvy and a little bit familiar with resolutions and other such documents on one bit.
So we have a motion here. We can do the motion separately, and I believe it's probably the best way to do it. And I will entertain a motion at this time. I'm sorry, Councilman, did you have a question, or did you? No. Okay. Go for it. Please.
I move that we appoint Amy Kelly to fill the vacant administrative committee position.
Any discussion? Please call for a vote.
Councilor Kenyon? Aye. Mayor Holston?
Aye. haven't done that. Does anybody want to say any public comment? All right, meeting is adjourned.
You know why I'm speaking the first part.
You were a wise man, Dash.
I'm on that once a week.
Once a week, we used to have wise wisdom.
Was it worth
Got all my pictures and he was on that side.
Yeah, that's called me work for a living?
That was too much fun.